Hi, welcome to Unique Parenting. I am B. Moise, and today we're going to talk about lying. We're going to talk about why do kids lie and what can you do about it to make sure that your child is not lying to you or decrease the amount of lies being told. So, there are a couple of reasons why kids lie. It's not just one thing that leads to lying. But obviously, the most common one is to avoid the consequence or the punishment. So, if you ask your child, "Did you do this?" and they're like, "No," they don't want to experience the consequence or the negative thing that comes behind telling the truth. So children tell a lie to avoid punishment. That is like the obvious reason. And I think that's the one where parents are like, well, if you just tell the truth, then there will not be a consequence. So no lie, no consequence. So that seems simple, but it's deeper than that. So there are so many reasons why children tend to lie besides avoiding the consequence. So for neurodivergent children, lying is actually good because lying is a sign of a new skill learned. Lying is actually a appropriate developmental skill that children learn at a certain developmental stage. So lying is a good thing because it is a new skill that they're practicing. Remember, childhood is all about practicing new skills. So whenever a child is doing something that they weren't doing before, instead of looking at this as something bad, turn it around and go, okay, so they were not doing this thing before and now they're doing it. So they've learned something new. We are at a new developmental spectrum. So you can look at it that way. Now, if you have older kids and you're thinking, yeah, you're 15, there's no more lying. You're not developing a new skill. You're actually getting really good at this particular bad skill, and I don't like it. So lying in the teenage years, again, to avoid punishment, avoid consequence, but it's not necessarily because the child wants to lie to you. Some kids lie to avoid breaking that connection between you and them because they know when they tell you the truth, or if they tell you the truth, you may not like the truth. You may not respond to them the same way. So think about your behavioral patterns in the past. When a child told you something, how did you respond? How did you react to what they said? Because that will determine the communication pattern between you and your child. So lying is a broken communication pattern. The reason your child is lying, it's because they've learned from past behavior that telling you the truth, you may respond in a way that's negative and that they don't like it. So then they're trying not to break that emotional connection. When your child lies to you, they maintain that connection, they maintain that relationship with a lie, but it's maintained, and they also avoid consequence. So it may not be just because they want to. They may be trying to protect something that is greater and far more important. Lying can also be a way to gain approval, for whether it's cohort approval, parental approval, coach approval, whomever. So a child may lie to just gain approval. So lying is not necessarily this deviant, this really negative thing. There are a lot of reasons. Now, sometimes it is. Sometimes it is that simplistic and they're lying just for the sake of lying. But I like to always look at what's behind the behavior, what's pushing it, not necessarily the behavior itself, because the behavior itself is a symptom of a greater, bigger underlying issue. So if your child is not being truthful, they're not communicating with you properly, look back at the relationship and how you guys communicate, how you and this child interact. Think about the last time the kid told you, hey, blah, blah, blah happened. And what was your response? Was it this, oh, I can't believe you did this. Oh my goodness, I'm going to need several days to process this, or whatever it may be. That could be the reason your child is not being truthful to you. And if they're really young, not everything that a young child is doing is bad. Not every lie needs to be addressed. Sometimes it is just, okay, and just leave it alone. And if it's something you know your child is lying about, really take a deep breath and wonder, should I even address this? Is this worth it? Because parenting is a long journey and not every battle needs to be fought. So really think and reconsider if this is something that's worth it. Like, is it something that you really want to dig into? And more than likely, it probably will not be. Again, with the really young kids, it is a new skill. It is something that is developmentally appropriate. You can also redirect it. You can say, wow, your imagination is pretty vivid. um, but can you try telling me that story again? Maybe, giving me more information and more details about the story. That way they're not being punished and you're not necessarily saying you're lying, but really trying to say, okay, I enjoy that you're developmentally growing in this stage, but I really want to know what truly happened. And if they're not being forthcoming and they just keep saying the same lie over and over again, drop it. Revisit it at another time. Sometimes a child is just not ready to be truthful at that moment, and we have to respect that, because the whole goal of trying to keep your kids from lying is developing a healthy pattern of communication and relationship where they feel safe. They feel the emotional safety of coming to you and telling you what happened, because that is your goal. Your goal is, if something happens, I want you to know that you can come to me and tell me what's going on, what's happening, and how we can address it. So the goal is communication. So whenever your child is lying, look at it like, what is a communication goal that I'm trying to get out of this situation? And it is a build trust, relationship, positive interaction. That is what I want. And what is it that I can do to get there? It is not trying to correct the child, yelling, emotionally reacting in a way that's negative, over punishing. None of those things will get you to your goal of an open and honest communication with your child. So that is lying, or a little bit of lying. There's so much more that goes into it, but remember, not all of it is bad. Some of it is developmentally appropriate. And in the latter years of those teenage years, it's a lot of punishment and consequence avoidance. So try to build towards, creating a safe and emotional spot for your teens to communicate with you, so that they know no matter what they have done, they can come to you with the truth, and it will be respected and taken in a way that they feel like next time something else happens, I can also tell the truth. Again, I'm not saying do not give your child a consequence, just really try to communicate more than you punish. So in the meantime, I want you all to enjoy your unique parenting journey with your unique child.